T200 down in under 5 minutes. What an insane team. Hey everyone, in my last video, I was demonstrating this rogue build that can one-shot the entire screen of a Pit 200, but didn't really have that boss damage. And at the end, I mentioned that coming up with a team of one class that does really good single target damage, and then this rogue that can clear the entire Pit 200 would be really cool to see in a Pit 200. And no sooner than did I post that video than Makuna reached out, the legend of the Sorcs, and he was crafting up a build with North War on something that did that insane single target damage that we were looking for to finish off a Pit 200. Now, I wasn't going to give this much more thought because I thought the execute ability for the rogue was just a bug. But it turns out, some of you commented in the video, and I went back and read the patch notes, that it's actually working exactly as the patch note reads, which is that you have a chance to execute all nearby non-bosses, not non-elites. So whether the patch note was wrong or the tooltip is wrong, it is functioning exactly like the patch note had mentioned, and there's already been some hotfixes and patches to the PTR, and it is still functioning as normal. So there's reason to believe it could make it to the live server. I don't know if they plan on fixing it or not. It's not in any issue tracker that I've seen, but since they haven't fixed it yet, it made me think, what if I optimize it a little bit more and try to get this Pit 200 down? So Makuna and I believe we're the first to clear the Pit 200, but the first time we ran out of time. So we really wanted to get a clean clear to see just how fast this duo could clear a Pit 200. And this was our fastest time, under 5 minutes. Here, I'll show you the run, and I'm going to go over the gear and my skill tree that I used to, clear that Pit 200 really fast. And if you want to see Makuna's build, go over to his channel. I'm sure he'll have a video on it soon, but I'm not sure what kind of sorcery the Sorc is using over there, but enjoy. So here we start out. It's similar to before. I made some modifications, and you'll see that I actually build up those exploit weakness stacks so much quicker now. I added a lot of survivability to the build as well, and I'm using the new armor, which is pulling everything in. So I'm getting pulls from all over the screen. It's bringing everything in, and the closer everything is, the more hits we get with our flurry, and the more lucky hit procs, and the more procs with like poison trap, which I added to the build. All has the potential to hit for a lucky hit, and you'll see just how fast. You can see at the bottom on the tooltip, those exploit weakness stacks are growing. So if this is a build that makes it to the the live servers, which we believe it could, I'm really interested in pushing this build even further, and it's fun to come up with a build that's not the same as we've always been doing, which is just, okay, what are all the combination of things I can put together that's just going to equal the most damage, which is how all builds that I've made up until this point have functioned. So that's fun, and I enjoy doing it. But this was fun because it was a whole different strategy. It's this sort of like 0 DPS support kind of build, but it's not 0 DPS because it's one-shotting the entire screen, but you're prioritizing so many other things other than damage, and it just opened up so many possibilities of what we could get. So what we ended up focusing on was obviously a lot of attack speed, a lot of lucky hit chance. Those are going to be the primary things. Then we need to survive, and we need good utility. So the ability to pull a lot of mobs in together, a lot of CC to control them because that adds to our survivability. Then a lot of procs for our lucky hit, and eventually getting those maximum stacks. We want mobility, we want unstoppable, and this is what I put together to try to achieve that. Now you'll notice in some places we still have like damage affixes on our items. That's because I didn't want to have to go out and farm all specific items just for this build, so I reused some items that I had that already rolled really high lucky hit chance, so that was good. But you can see kind of the gist of what we are focusing on in this build, and so we optimize it so much more, and I believe we end up clearing this Pit 200 in around 3 or 4 minutes before, until we get to the boss, and the boss takes another minute or so. And that's because I think it only takes that long because there's something buggy with the pits right now where you end up having to backtrack if you don't basically 100% clear every single mob in the pit 200 dungeon. It's sort of dependent on the maps, but the map that we got, I believe I had to backtrack a little bit. But here you can see we're 3 minutes in, and we're nearly at 100% clear. Oh, look, yeah, 3 minutes we cleared the entire pit 200. And now we're on the boss, and this is where I'm pretty much useless at this point. At this point, actually, I'm a stagger bot, so I am able to help by really building up the stagger on the boss very, very quickly, as you can just see there. Makuna hasn't even entered, and I could have fully staggered the boss, but I wanted to wait for our Sorc to get here. And again, if you want to see what Makuna is doing in his Sorc build, I recommend going over and checking out his channel. I will have it linked in the video description. If you want to see Makuna and the quadrillion damage single target Sorc build. We estimated that the pit bosses in a tier 200 have around 10 quadrillion life based on a couple tests that we've done, and being able to test the numbers and the damage on these bosses. So he's doing something with the chain lightning ability that was added to the game. I'm not sure what other interactions are going on here, but you can see it ends up being quite effective. I think he's, you know, building up stacks right now. I was just CCing. I'm attacking to stay alive so I can survive in these pit 200. Some of them can get pretty scary. They added some new mechanics where you have the like the stacks that you get from Uber Lilith, so you end up taking some significant amounts of damage. But with the changes we made to the build, it's actually quite tanky even for these pit 200 bosses. So you see, we stay alive long enough. We are helping with our CC, and Makuna and his Sorc are able to do this. Oh, in 5 minutes, we cleared a pit 200. We didn't run out of time this time. I believe it's the first clear I've ever seen of a pit 200 within the time frame. And on the first one, we unlocked, you know, the title and everything, and I'd be really curious and excited to potentially unlock this title on the live servers as well, with a build just like this. So here I'll be flashing through the gear. You can see, and you can just see all the rewards that we got. So the gear rewards obviously is garbage. And here are all of the affixes that we used, and the affixes and the aspects. And here is the skill tree. Let's go through it real quick. You can see I'm using flurry to, you know, attack as fast as possible and build up all those lucky hit chances. Some passives that are adding, like dodge, survivability, poison trap for more lucky hit, and momentum for a lot of survivability. So that's the build. Try it out for yourself. It's really fun in the PTR. If it makes it to live server, that'd be really interesting to see if we can get one of those 200 clears on the live server. But if we can, just look out for us. Makuna and I will probably be focusing on doing that in season 5 if it's still viable. So follow the channel. You can follow along to see how that's coming, and I'll see you in the next one.